I am Curran Bhatia speaking with Mark Kriegel. He's out in Vegas for the big trilogy fight, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Mark, how are you doing, man?
I'm hanging in, buddy. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for the time. I know you have a very busy schedule. So we've seen your work all over ESPN, all over Fox Sports. It's a joint production. I thought some of the most interesting... Sorry?
My condolences.
That some of the most interesting parts of what you were saying in some of the stuff we saw was self-belief versus self-deception. And I think that's really interesting. And I think it does come down to that for Wilder, because if he accepts this loss, right, that changes his invincibility and saying he got a loss. And if he doesn't and makes excuses, then can he fix what in his mind isn't broken? I mean, how do you see self-belief or self-deception coming into play?
Look, it's not a normal gig being heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm not talking about like the kind of guy who holds a belt for a while, but to be like a baddest man type of guy. And each of these guys has at various points seen himself as, I'm the baddest man on the planet. And I think that when it comes to this division, they are. I mean, put aside Usyk for a second. But to be that baddest man requires that you walk a certain walk, talk a certain talk. What Deontay has to do here is he could say anything he wants to the world. The gloves were loaded, costume dragged me down. I wasn't in his body. I don't know what he was feeling, okay? And that's Malik Scott's take on this. But he has to be sober enough about it to know, hey, what really happened there. He could say all this stuff. Maybe it's true. I think the gloves is absolute nonsense. I don't know what the suit felt like. But he has to acknowledge what happened in there before he can deal with it. And that was the condition of Malik Scott's employment as the head trainer. And they had a discussion about 4 a.m. After the defeat. And Wilder already knew he was going to make a change with Mark Breland, who people like me had praised for, maybe prolonging his career. It was certainly the right thing to do at that time. And I think that he removed Breland, among other reasons. First of all, I guess he felt betrayed, but also Breland was a reminder of his mortality as a fighter. He's the guy who threw in the towel. He's a constant reminder of his limitations, his faults. But what Malik said, and this to me is the crucial point, I'll take the job, but you got to understand what happened tonight. You didn't lose a boxing match. You got beat up. And you have to understand who Fury is. He's not another guy. He's the most skilled, mobile, big guy, certainly of this generation, perhaps, one of the all-time mobile big men. But you got rolled over tonight, and if you don't change, if you do not do anything different, it'll be worse next time. So at some level, there's that recognition, okay, I got to fix something. Now, the question becomes now, can Malik get him to do that? And he has the physical tools to do it. Can Malik get him to do that in the pressure of the fight, in the heat of the moment when he gets cracked? Or will he go back to being Deontay Wilder that we saw last time? And will he play for just that right hand?
And so that's really the question. I mean, you've spent time with Wilder, with Malik. Do you feel like it's Wilder outwardly to the public saying, gloves tampered with, my water bottle tampered with, my costume too heavy? But what it sounds like you're saying is there may have been internal conversations that said, hey, even if that happened, you didn't do enough to beat this guy and you need to make changes.
I'm saying there was that conversation. Like what I'm saying is 4 a.m. that night, they were both upset. They were highly emotional. Wilder called Malik and said, this is the deal. And Malik said, okay, but you got to understand what happened to them. That's what happened. According to Malik, I don't think he has any reason to lie to me. So I think that how much Wilder believes it was the gloves or the suit, that's all fine. Let him believe that. That's okay. But at some level, according to Malik, there has been this acknowledgement.
And that's important that there has been acknowledgement. Obviously, Wilder not coming out publicly with that, and he has his own reasons for that. Let me ask you this. You just came from the weigh-in. Both these men weighed in at the highest. They each have weighed in their entire careers. While Fury at 277, Wilder at 238. One thing that I thought was interesting, Wilder said he's been in the gym. He's been hitting the bench press. He can bench press 350 pounds, he said. And he said, so I can bench press Tyson Fury. Obviously, he wants to not be bullied the way he was in fight 2. But is that a smart strategy to bulk up? Because traditionally, people have said boxers maybe shouldn't do weightlifting at a high level, and that could impact you negatively in the ring. What do you think?
I'm not crazy about that. I mean, maybe we're reading too much into it. I know that he felt bullied on the inside last time. I know that Malik wants a different, more violent fighter in the clinches. I don't think he didn't answer. He didn't answer Fury in the clinches last time. Well, when a guy starts talking about bench pressing, I'm not so sure. Now, I mean, he looks like a superhero. You know, he's got like a Marvel comic build. You know, he looks great, but you don't need that to be a fighter. I mean, you know, Fury's never going to win like a Body Beautiful contest, but he's a hell of a fighter. So there's a difference. I mean, it's one of those things you're going to see come the fight. But for right now, I know why he's talking about bench pressing, because he doesn't want to make silent agreements in the clinch. And Malik told him you have to be more violent in there. But I'm still somewhat suspicious about a guy who tells me how much he benches, but maybe I'm wrong.
And is it just a situation, you know, traditionally in boxing, we've said it's a brawler, let's just say, not in this situation, but a brawler versus a counterpuncher. Usually the first fight can be close, but then the second fight and onwards, the counterpuncher kind of has the advantage because he's figured out the brawler. And I'm not saying that's the situation stylistically at all here, but has Fury just figured something out where he said, if I just bulk up and I'm just the bigger guy, there's nothing that Wilder can do to stop that? And he, in a way, has he figured out Wilder with that type of strategy?
Well, he figured him out last time. But I think that Wilder was also a willing accomplice. I mean, Tyson Fury has a really, really high boxing IQ. And he was brought up in the game, and you can see how smart he is. I mean, look, I'm the guy, he told me last time, I'm gonna knock him out, I'm gonna go right to him. And I thought he was bullshitting me. You know, and given his skill set, I think that was a reasonable thing to think. But he went ahead and did it. He saw something, I'm bigger. The first fight he had, you know, the first fight he wasn't himself yet, and he still almost won that. However you see it, he almost won it. Yeah, he saw something in Wilder, but I think what's interesting now is that you've seen the need of Wilder again to match him. So they both kind of doubled down. I understand why Wilder's doing it. We'll see how he moves in the fight. I mean, I think you'll see a lot in the first and second rounds, and I do think that they're going to come together. I don't think this is going to go late in the fight.
Last time around, Fury said, "I'm going to bulk up and come straight at this guy," and you said he told you that, and he actually did it. No one believed him. Maybe you did, but no one believed him.
No, I didn't. I thought he was bullshitting me.
Right. We all thought that. We said, that's crazy because you were outboxing this guy, boxing circles around him in fight 1, besides the 2 times you got caught. But he did that. This time he said, I'm going to go up to 300 pounds and I'm an 18-wheeler versus a human being. So he went up to 277. So part 1 of getting bigger happened. Is he going to go straight at him and hit him like an 18-wheeler to a human being? Is that Fury's game plan in your mind? Is that what he's going to do?
I'm believing Fury's saying exactly what he's going to do because he wants to elicit a certain reaction in Deontay. Now, I think when it comes down to it, Fury can do more things than Wilder. Wilder, at some point, is still going to be Wilder. I think Wilder is probably a better athlete than Fury. There's no reason he can't do the stuff that Malik has talked about, not just a jab, but an up jab. You know, he has 2 or 3 jabs he can use, but especially that up jab. He can't get excited. He has to be violent on the inside. There's nothing physically he can't do. I just think that when he gets hit, he gets excited. And when he has the other guy hurt, he's typically been excited too. And that's some of what Malik was trying to teach him and make him aware of. He cited this really interesting sequence when George Foreman had an opponent hurt. He didn't run to him. He didn't even step to him. He said, Mark, he would walk to him like he's taking out the trash, like it was nothing. I said, do you want Deontay to do that? He goes, no, but I want him to be that calm when his prey is wounded. Now, to this point, we've never seen, Deontay gets excited. He's a twitchy guy. Fury made that work to his advantage. Again, we'll see if Deontay can be more disciplined.
And that's the question. Fury last time brought in Sugar Hill Stewart. They made the new game plan. As you mentioned, this time, Wilder, of course, bringing in Malik Scott. One of the things Malik Scott talked about was that you can't do 6 to 12 jabs per round. You need to do more if you're Wilder. So I guess the question is, do you think we'll see that Wilder? We've seen a bunch of different styles from him. We've seen just the guy who comes at you with the right hand. We've seen the Wilder that fought against Stavern the first time, worked behind the jab, a lot of jabs, a lot of movement.
I think that was, it's interesting, Curran. I think that was really his least spectacular win and the one that I was most impressed by, because it was like he was still a young fighter and he was still learning. And it's like he didn't have his fastball that night. He wasn't going to take out Stavern with one punch. It was for a title, but he didn't get overexcited. I hate to use the cliche, stayed within himself, but he did. And he was content to take what Stavern allowed. And Stavern took a huge physical beating that fight, but Wilder was patient and he didn't perform. He figured out what he's going to have to do to win. So, I mean, I think that it's a really interesting fight that you bring up, and it speaks very highly of Deontay. That wasn't the excitable guy, but a fight like Luis Ortiz, where he's just waiting and waiting and waiting and getting out punched, getting out pointed and out punched and playing for this one right hand. You can't do that against this guy.
And I know, there's more than just the game plan in the ring. I mean, you look at where these guys came from. Fury started boxing at age 10. Wilder, I believe it was until like age 18. There's a difference there. Fury has the amateur pedigree. There's also where these guys came from, right? Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Fury from this gypsy culture. And so that affects everything around you, your upbringing, the people that surround you, right? The things that are being said. So with all of that, I mean, who has the advantage in terms of the background to be ready for not just this fight, but just this moment for each man's career? In that respect, I'd have to give the benefit of the doubt to Fury, because he is, as he says, a fighting man. He thinks of himself as a fighter, always has almost from birth. And one of the things I find interesting here is even guys who are really, really gifted and enormously powerful, like Wilder, like Anthony Joshua, but picked up the sport. I believe Joshua picked it up when he was 18 and Deontay when he was 19. And you look at guys like Fury and Usyk, who have been boxing all their lives. I tend to have more confidence in the guy who has been boxing all his life. There are muscle memories. There are sort of almost like psychological memories too. You've been in the ring. You never played soccer. You never played baseball. You never played basketball. You weren't a tight end. You weren't, you weren't a power forward. This is what you've been all your life. And I think that guys who've been doing it all their lives tend to have an advantage. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, because this is the third fight, of course. First fight draw, second fight, we know Fury knocked him out. Let's just say, for argument's sake, Wilder knocks out Fury. Do we need to see a fourth fight, or is this the type of thing where a trilogy is a trilogy and that's kind of...
Wilder knocks out Fury?
Do we need to see another fight if that happens? Absolutely.
I try to refrain from predictions. But my prediction here is that this trilogy will morph into a tetralogy, which is an opera in 4 parts. And this is a weird trilogy, man, because if you think about it, the nature of a trilogy is that the third fight breaks a tie. Otherwise, this is a weird thing. It's like the first fight was a draw, but in practical terms, it worked out much better for Fury than for Wilder. I mean, he was a fat guy. He was coming off depression. People thought he was cashing out, or Frank Warren was somehow cashing him out. Wasn't. He knew something. Second fight, no one really knew. Tyson. So in a certain sense, you can make the argument that Tyson's up 2-0. But it's funny because I sense a lot of heat about this fight, which if you look at the last fight, why would you think this thing would be close? But you think I think it'll be close. I forget the bench pressing, forget the nonsense with the gloves. Something about these two guys, the way that they hate each other, makes it a very attractive fight.
And so the fact that you think it'll be in multiple parts, does that mean that your official prediction is Wilder for this one?
No, I'm not making. My official prediction is how many screwy things can happen. I just have this feeling like we're gonna have a fourth fight. I just hope it's not unlike the Triller in the year 2050 or some crap like that. They're trying to make a score as old guys. But I have this weird feeling they're not done with each other.
Yep. They call boxing the theater of the unexpected. I expect absolutely nothing less tomorrow night. So let me ask you this, looking ahead for each guy, whoever wins, whatever happens, do you think at some point within the next however long we would see that undisputed fight? It was a lot more interesting when it was Joshua, but now it's Usyk. And we haven't had a 4-belt heavyweight champion in the modern 4-belt era. Do you think that at some point we would ever see that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, look, I think so. I hope so. Who knows how it'll splinter off. It's too bad. Obviously, Fury has been really disappointed because he was looking at a $250 million fight in Saudi over the summer. That was real. And that would have given the world a 4-belt champion. Eventually, I think it'll happen. I don't think that Usyk Fury, and that's what would seem most likely, I guess. I don't think that Usyk Fury is nearly as sexy a fight as Fury Joshua was. But now, and here's the problem, and here's why I think that Deontay will always be in play. Joshua is diminished. Joshua just can't be as sexy as he was because we've seen him lose twice now. So that Fury Joshua will never, that moment, that $250 million moment, like it can never be again because Joshua, he can't be all that he was. So where do you go then? I don't know. I think that leaves, and also does as skilled and as magnificent a performance as Usyk put on, is Usyk Fury as sexy, or Fury Usyk as sexy as those other fights? It's you have two really skilled boxers, great technicians, artists, but Fury's so much longer. I don't know.
You've been very generous with your time. So last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of issues in the sport of boxing. Especially it seems like lately. You talked about some of them there. This fight, it has everything you would ever want. It's a championship fight. It's heavyweights.
You're not undefeated.
That's the one thing I should get on a flight tonight to really complete what we're doing. It has almost everything you would want. The challenger, the knockout history, the biggest they've ever been. It has it all. So, it seems like the type of thing that people are talking about. And it feels like, I've heard someone say that, we finally, for at least for this night, we have our sport back. This moment tomorrow night, what does this mean to you just for the sport of boxing? You've been covering it for so long.
I think it's a great, compelling matchup. And the reason I got into boxing is listen, boxing's my contention is boxing is the purest, most organic form of storytelling. And I got into boxing because I wasn't good enough to make a living as a novelist. But here's what you're going to, no, I'm dead serious, man. What you're going to see, and this is not like any other, I don't even know if you call it a sport. It's not just that their careers will be intertwined forever, but like their lives will change, and their lives, the story of their lives is codependent. And that shit lasts forever.
Mark Kriegel, thank you so much for the time. I know you've had a very busy schedule this week, so thank you so much. And of course, enjoy the fights tomorrow night.
Take care, buddy. Have a great day.